SuperNova versus Stats.
SuperNova starting to the top of Heavy Rain in red, trying to make it happen against the Protoss player in game number 1. Got crushed by Carriers, something that we don't see every day. Throwing away too many Vikings in his defense against the Stalker push, and then suddenly he was lacking the anti-air. I was a bit surprised by the numbers of Carriers that Stats used in that game. Our Protoss starts to the bottom of the map in blue with a 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series. Another map win would bring him to Code S.
Yeah, he's wow, I'm just like speechless. When the Fleet Weekend goes up, I'm like, well, I mean, it can't necessarily be Tempest. We gotta wait, you know, and see what happens. I mean, like you said, like I think you and I had the same wavelength where you and I were both just like, I mean, it's mech. This is weird. It could be Carriers, but nah. Like we both instantly like had this flutter, and we were like, no, of course not. Like that would never happen.
I mean, the thing is, if you get the Carrier fleet up and your opponent has no anti-air, yes, then you win it. But SuperNova immediately reacted with the second starport. He had 2 starports with a reactor and a 4 Viking production. So I just assumed that he would send all of the Vikings over to his army, and he didn't. He used them in a defense against the Stalker push, where he could have just taken a few more losses and said like, alright, I'm going to wait for the 2 siege tanks that I'm building right now, and the siege tanks in siege mode will be able to defend against the Stalkers. But he didn't. He lost Vikings, and then he, I think at the army he had 2 Thors and 4 Vikings against 6 or 7 Carriers and the rest of the ground army that the Protoss player had. And once he lost that, he was just never able to get the Viking numbers up. You could later really see how strong Vikings are against Carriers, because the 4 that he had, or the 6, took down like 3 Carriers. That was a lot, but at this point his entire economy and also the army was already crippled. So SuperNova probably regretting this decision that he made there.
SuperNova's going gas first into Reaper. And with this Marine here, we're going to see a proxy factory with the SVs going over there with. And possibly Hellions out of this factory, but more likely because of the positioning, we're just going to see Banshees again. And we'll see how much damage this does. The Reaper is really cool because it lends Stats to believe, if Stats doesn't probe scout, that it's just a normal build. He's going to be like, oh, okay, the Reaper expand, here it comes. He might notice the Reaper's a little bit faster than it normally would be, and that would tip him off to something weird, but that might just make him think he's up against another Reaper build like the one we saw from the best.
I mean, the game 1 actually started really well for SuperNova. If you think about how much damage that Banshee did at the beginning, that was really...
Yeah, he had 3 bases up solid.
Exactly, 3 bases. Very, very good economy compared to Stats.
And even so killed his opponent's 3rd base.
Yeah, so the opponent, so the entire like setup for SuperNova was really good in game number 1, and that's something where he should just definitely say, okay, I'm going to do that again.
Whoa,
that
he's
move,
just gonna...
by the way, is absolutely...
This is sexy.
This is sexy as hell. I mean, he's going straight into his opponent's main base with a factory.
This is like never going to be scouted. He's... What it would be even cooler than if he just makes 1 Widow Mine and sends it in is if he like waits with 2 Widow Mines and then sends them in. I think he's not going to wait though, because in pro level play, you want to get the damage done as fast as possible. And
I love this move.
No, he's no way. There's like, if you went and checked that factory, I'd like yell hacks. There's no way there would ever be a unit over there this fast.
And he's now just trying to harass that on the ground a little bit. And this Widow Mine is gonna be so early. There we go.
Thing is, actually,
and he's like, wait, what?
Depending on how this works, okay, well, it needs to get that Zelda away.
Oh, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't try to hit that Stalker.
He's not going to be able to get a second Widow Mine in, probably. It depends on how fast that SuperNova can actually spam out that burrow command.
Oh, but now that Reaper is actually in a really good spot, because depending on the cooldown and everything else, the Stalker is very endangered here. Second Widow Mine comes out, is immediately being attacked here, but yeah, you know, if if he could burrow that next to the Stargate, he could actually try to snipe the Oracle.
Yeah, I think that's something I was thinking about, but it's so hard for him to actually get it over there. This Reaper will go down. And, yeah, he's going to be able to actually kill both of these Widow Mines now. Well, a good split here. Nah. Wow, I can't believe that got away.
Hides at the right side, but yeah.
Still going to kill it.
He's going to kill that.
But the 3rd Widow Mine. And you know what? Did he actually miss the one on the right? Okay, no, he didn't. It's just, it gets a good Protoss player. He's never going to let more than 1 probe die to a shot.
It's 5 killed already, and it really messed with stats. You see the natural that we just got
he
shot
didn't
off?
even rally it.
Didn't rally the probe, so That costs him a lot of mining time.
And now SuperNova's getting stim at home, going into more standard bio play this game. So no more carriers, which makes him a little bit sad, but... I don't know, man. Like, that's the kind of game I watch where I go, well, carries are okay in certain situations. Like, they could have a place. Not against bio ever, but against mech, you know. If mech ever becomes a thing, besides for SuperNova. Because right now it's basically only a SuperNova thing against matchup.
Well, so far, Stats... I mean, looking at the situation in the game, Stats is currently still had a little bit in the Harvest account. It's 2-base against 2-base, and the Phoenixes are something that we've seen a lot against bio play, used especially, of course, by Classic just recently here in Korea as well, who shuts down drop play with that quite easily, and just make sure that with the Phoenix alone, he can just lift a couple of units every now and then, snipe alone SCV in the fights himself, just get those Marauders out of the picture. But you should try to not lose them.
Yeah. Solid defense by SuperNova. He's
the Factor is back.
The thing is, where's the Oracle? It's way on the other side of the map. And he knows this. He knows the robotics is not ready. I like this choice. I don't think he's going to get a lot done, but it's a small investment. And does he pay attention, actually? Yes, he does.
Yeah. Sees it, but we have...
He's going to kill a Zealot, it looks like. Oh, targets the Stalker. Nicely done. And actually, I think he got a probe, too. Maybe. One of the probes in the gas, I think he got it.
I mean, this time he targets, and that's what I was actually expecting to do with the first one, because he had a clear shot at one of the Stalkers there.
For sure.
But he got the probes instead. He might get a second shot in just... No, it doesn't really look like it's going to be in time.
Yeah, the Oracle lost enough energy. Goodbye, Widow Mine. Too low on hit points.
Was worth it, though. Forces the Oracle back, gives him a little bit of breathing room.
If you look at the cost, like for Widowmine versus a Stalker, it's totally worth it. And he doesn't need the factory. He already starts a second starport because he knows he might lose that factory to Phoenixes. And
which is already funny in itself.
The factory's just going to go land over here and like...
It's going to be back.
I think he's just landing it because he doesn't want to be killed by Phoenixes, but he knows that the ground army will not go this far to chase it. It could be back though. That's you know, never rule that out.
And the Arnold Schwarzenegger driver. I'll be back.
Arnold Schwarzenegger just did an AMA on Reddit. Did you see that? That's crazy.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
I didn't actually read it yet, but I bookmarked it.
Oh, we have Colossi now already being built for Stats. And SuperNova, he already prepared with the second starport. That's, of course, mostly because he said, like, well, I might lose my factory here, so I'd rather get a second starport into the game right now and not find out later that I'm desperately in need of one where I have to rebuild a factory that I might lose here. So at this point, we have him also with a third base that he's building and baiting out the Photon overcharge here.
Yep, his scan barely missed the Observer, so that's really nice. Oh, could get the Widowmine. Oh, gets both the Widowmine and the Observer. He's like a detection killer right now.
The Oracle, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. What did I say?
Widowmine.
Whoa.
We've seen a lot of Widowmines, so I can understand why.
Yep. And triple Viking production here, not only because of the Colossi, but because of the Phoenixes.
+1 attack upgrade for air units.
Yeah, no carriers though, just for Phoenixes.
Not yet.
The reason why he has to make this many Vikings is, if you guys remember, Wings of Liberty, Phoenix Colossus can be scary if not controlled. And you have to have quadruple Viking production if you want to stop that.
For a second I thought the factory was on the move again.
Nah, I think it moved slightly though, actually.
It did a little bit, right?
Yeah, it did moved like a little bit closer to the minerals, actually. I'm pretty sure. I'm actually pretty sure about that. You know, sometimes when you don't have anything to do with your APM,
you just move your factory.
He's like the feng shui of the map is just a little bit off. The factory needs to move more towards the east.
Well, the Protoss player right now is still looking with his Phoenixes for a few kills, and actually those Medivacs, yeah, not quite as much out of position as I thought. Thought for a second he could get those, but we have 4 Vikings now being produced at a time. In terms of upgrades, we have the armor upgrade halfway done, whereas SuperNova, on the other hand, goes straight into +1 attack upgrade for his Vikings, also adds the +2 attack upgrade for his bio army. Has a pretty significant army size here with 75, and also very, very good income, and just now getting his third base up too, so those mules really coming through for him. Ouch. Yeah, that hurts. It's just so awesome to have like Phoenixes on the map for a Protoss player in any matchup, because they're super mobile, they're tanking a lot of damage when you need to protect your Colossi, and they are just awesome to control the map, to scout what's going on, to lift a few SCVs against third player, then drones and queens. But it's a really, really mobile task force that you have, and we have 10 of them in this game.
You need to be careful not to make too many Phoenixes, though.
Comes the second Star Gate on the other hand, and the Fleet Beacon.
Anion Pulse Crystals. No carriers. Stats. No carriers. Stats.
I don't know.
Stop, stats.
Stop.
Stop. Stats, what are you doing? Stop.
I don't know, dude. Like, we have a lot of Phoenixes there already, and the upgrade would be great, but I would love to see carriers again. This
I
time
would
against
too.
Bio.
I just don't...
He's like, I did it against Mech. Now I'm going to show you I can do it against Bio.
He's like, well, I mean, what if I kill all the Vikings with my Phoenixes, then the carriers can kill the Bio, right? I mean, I got the Colossi for the Marines, then like my carriers can kill the Marauders. The Ghosts are really scary. Ghosts are great against Phoenixes. Phenai, whichever you want to call it. Both are acceptable. There's the Anion Pulse Crystals as expected. If you make like up to 20 Phoenixes, then your ground army becomes a little bit weaker, and you have to consider that. Yes, the Vikings are going to go down to your Phoenixes, but like, so what if the Marauders are enough to kill your Colossi anyways? We'll just see how this one plays out. It's still fine for him to continue to make Phoenixes, and I like that he gets the range upgrade because if he commits this much to Phoenixes, it's worth the investment.
And this is so scary. We've seen Classic play with this composition once against the Terran, and the Terran got rolled.
Yeah.
So right now, this is super scary. The +1 attack upgrade already, and Anion Pulse Crystals coming in, double Phoenix production, a lot of Colossi to take care of the ground.
And he's just pulling all of his SVs. Thing is, the Phoenixes don't identify this, but they do head home. If they were out of position, this could be a disaster with this many Vikings.
Okay, there he has the vision. He sees it. He sees it coming. Here we go. SuperNova wants to end it. 16
so
Phoenixes already. There are cannons there too, exactly.
Cannon's going to help out against the Vikings. Phoenixes with good upgrades here. The Colossi going in, and the Vikings targeting the Colossi, ignoring the Phoenixes.
So many Marines!
And the Marines are just going to rip through those Phoenixes. This is one of those things I was talking about, man. The Phoenixes...
The Colossi need to do damage to the ground.
Yeah, they need to, and they're not. And now they're dead. It's over.
SuperNova with the pain train, and he delivers. GG.
I don't know if he made too many Phoenixes or what. The control there was not the best either. He didn't fight while the cannons were firing.
Like, what that strategy hinges on is really the Colossi taking down the Bio. And if the Colossi just move back, because there's so many Vikings that you don't have a chance with the Phoenixes to take them out, then the Bio force is just snowballing. They take down the Phoenixes first, suddenly you have Vikings left to attack the Colossi.
And way too many Marines on the ground
anymore,
for the Phoenixes.
And that was a steamroll.
We've seen this happen before, like in... I want to say it was Myungshik who had this in a Protoss versus Terran where he just made too many Phoenixes and lost the game. I can't remember exactly which Protoss it is, so don't quote me, but it's a thin line you walk, and SuperNova realized that there was a Phoenix commitment, made a lot of Marines, and...
I think this composition, every time we saw it, it snowballs in for one or the other player depending on the numbers, like the composition, the ratio.
And there were plenty enough Vikings to ignore the Phoenixes and target those Colossi down, and since he was Marine heavy with the Colossi gone, just everything else stops mattering.
Game number 3 in the winner's match. It is on Frost. We expected a close series, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Stats versus SuperNova. One of them advances after the map. It is the map choice of Stats. Young just lost its loser's pick. And SuperNova, let's see. Apparently we're having a little bit of an issue here.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe it looked a little bit like Stats had a problem.
Someone has to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I don't know who it was, but...
yeah.
Who was it?
I think it looked a little bit like it was Stats.
I was just hoping like if I stared into the camera hard enough, someone would tell me.
Nah, they don't. No. Still
Maybe they both have to go.
It's actually not the players, it's production. Production says like, guys, we need a break.
Hold on, I gotta go to the potty. Wait a sec.
Yeah, so we've seen two very different games. We've seen Bio and we've seen Mech and SuperNova. It looked for a long time that he could make Mech work in game number 1. His opening was really, really solid. But if you think about it, in both games, he actually relied on a little bit of cheekiness there. In game number 1, we saw him with a proxy for the Banshees that did a lot of damage. I think 13 Harvesters killed in total. Done a lot of damage there. Then in game number 2, we see him with a factory proxied for the Widow Mines that actually did a lot of damage.
That factory sneaked into the back of the movie theater, basically.
Yeah. And I actually think he could have even done more damage. If you think about the targeting, and with the first one, he could have taken down one of the Stalkers, got a little bit busy there. I loved how he was trying to run away with the Widow Mines and trying to save them against the Oracle. Maybe just wait until the duration for Envision is up, but it didn't really work for him. In general, he'd killed, I think, 6 harvesters and 1 stalker.
Yeah.
1 stalker and 6 probes, and he lost 3 or 4 widow mines. I can't even remember.
3, I think. I think it was only 3.
I think it was 4. 3 at the beginning, and then the last one that he sent in was, I think, the 4th.
Was it not 2 and then 3? I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
Maybe
But anyways,
could be.
it was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But it was definitely worth it for him in
Yeah.
the long run. And with that, he was always able to identify his opponent's composition. And I liked the way he played Game 2. Game 1 was weird. And what I actually hope, personally, is that we get to see a game like Game 1, but with just a little bit more standard play. I don't know what map that Stats is going to pick. That's a question. I could see
Frost
him picking
was the map.
Frost. Oh, it was Frost already.
We already talked about that.
Did we?
You have a very short attention span.
I'm thinking about carriers, man. But we're just jumping right into it. The winner of this goes to Code S.